you can triple, quadruple your profits if you do seller financing. Because instead of buying something, that same property that's worth 40 that we put on a contract for 5, we could have sold that thing for 20. We'll have made, after closing costs, $14,000. But by selling it for 35 with a down payment and taking like a $28,000 loan, if you include interest and everything, you end up collecting $40,000, $50,000 on that deal, and versus 15 on the other one or 14 on the other one. So you make like more than 3 times your money by doing that. And the nice part is there's no tenants, toilets, termites, there's no inspectors, there's no mold, there's no repairs, there's no surprises, there's no rehabs.
Welcome to the BiggerPockets Best Deal Ever show. I'm your lovable host, Ken Corsini, who with my wife, Anita, have flipped over 800 houses in Atlanta since 2005 and even have a show on HGTV. But this show isn't about us. It's about all the amazing real estate investors out there that are crushing it. It's about their stories, their best deals, how they sourced them, how they funded them, and what we can learn from their experiences. This is the Best Deal Ever show. Hey, this is Ken Corsini with the Best Deal Ever show. Today, I am joined by my good friend, Jack Bosch. Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you, Ken?
I know that's a lie because I know that you're in the middle of a crazy deal that's sort of falling apart. I mean, that's part of being a real estate investor, right?
That's part of the deal. I mean, that's like, it's just, there's nothing unusual happening right now. It's just, that's how life is. It's all good.
It is. It's part of it. Deals that you think, you're banking on them, and then last minute something, pops up and throws a giant kink in things, and welcome to real estate, right?
Exactly. That's what happens. But we know that's the game. So that's why we're in it. We're enjoying the hustle and bustle, and it comes with some huge wins, and it comes with some smaller losses. In this case, it won't be a big loss. It would just be the due diligence period that if the deal falls apart, we spend a while doing due diligence on something that doesn't actually end up going through.
And that's a good point. Sometimes due diligence, even though you spend a little bit of money, you spend some time, and if the deal doesn't go through, sometimes it's the best money you could ever spend to prevent you from going into a bad deal. So it is what it is, right?
That's exactly right. Yes.
So you are, you're in Phoenix, is that right?
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been there for 22 years, originally from Germany, came over, been in Phoenix 20 years, or came from Germany 22 and a half, almost 23 years ago now.
Wow. Phoenix. And so I know that people know you as the land guy. You've done land deals and owner finance for years. I know a lot of folks know who you are. Is that what you've always done? Has that always been your primary business model?
Since I'm in real estate, yes, but before not. I came here from Germany with basically to finish my college degree and got a job in a software company, even though I'm not a software guy. But it was the job that got me the visa, that got me the green card, and that allowed me to be able to stay in this country. So I worked in that industry for 5.5 years, and that actually triggered me getting into real estate because I did not like that industry. I did not like what I was doing. I had to stick with it because of the green card process. Because if you quit your job while you're in the green card process, you basically have to start from scratch. And or if you don't find anyone that will sponsor that again, within 60 days, you have to leave the country. So I was like, no, I'll stick to this job, head down, blinders on, work as hard as I can to get that green card. But in parallel, we looked for other things. And about 3 years in, we found real estate. Took us a couple of years to figure out our land flipping model, but then things started taking off after that.
And was that primarily in Phoenix is where kind of all this took place?
I was living in Phoenix shortly after coming to the US. I lived 2 years in Illinois and then moved down to Phoenix and loved it here. The weather is just fantastic. And we started out here because we didn't know any better. But nowadays we do deals from Florida to Hawaii, from Indiana to Texas to all over the country. And because it's a virtual model that you can literally, this is where I do land deals from.
Mm-hmm. So give people just a little bit of just sort of the 30,000 foot view of kind of what you're known for, what your primary model is.
Okay. So our primary model is land flipping is like house flipping, just without the houses. So everything that we see you do on TV here and all the different construction things, that's all gone. All the kind of like walkthroughs, the thing is gone. So we're doing wholesaling and seller financing of land pieces in the $10,000 to $100,000 range. That's our sweet spot. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's above that. But this is our sweet spot because we found that there's a ton of people that have owned land for 20, 30 years that no longer want it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to sell it. and they're willing to let these properties go for literally 5 to 25 cents on the dollar. So we're buying these properties not with 5 or 25% discounts. We're buying them at 5 to 25 cents on the dollar. And then we turn around and we either do wholesaling. So we do assignments, wholesaling, double closings, all this kind of sweet stuff that the house flippers also do. Or we love selling these properties with seller financing, because on the seller financing, what we do is let's say we pay a $40,000 property, and then we buy that we put on a contract for $5,000. We go turn around, sell it, let's say for $35,000 with a $6,000 down payment. So the down payment is more than what we paid for the property, and now we get $500 a month for the next 10 years, and it's pure profit. And we collect a total of like $70,000 on that deal.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. To cover your purchase price with their down payment, and then it's an infinite ROI after that.
Exactly. So that's our model. We personally do 80% of our deals like that. When we started, we did almost all cash because we needed cash. And then over time, because you can triple, quadruple your profits if you do seller financing. Because instead of buying something, that same property that's worth 40 that we put on a contract for 5, we could have sold that thing for 20. We'll have made after closing costs $14,000. But by selling it for 35 with a down payment and taking like a $28,000 loan, if you include interest and everything, you end up collecting $40,000, $50,000 on that deal, and versus 15 on the other one or 14 on the other one. So you make like more than 3 times your money by doing that. And the nice part is there's no tenants, toilets, termites, there's no inspectors, there's no mold, there's no repairs, there's no surprises, there's no rehabs. So it's really a simplification. And the best benefit is actually there's almost no competition, because almost everyone, and we're together in a mastermind that we belong to, there's 150 people in there. There's one land flipper, and that's us.
Which is crazy, because every time we have this conversation, I'm always scratching my head like, why am I not flipping land? I can't figure out why I'm not doing this. It's like we're so brainwashed into only flipping houses that we can't break out for some reason. I don't know why.
Right. And the thing is that the process is similar but different. So for example, we never talk to sellers. Sellers are a dime a dozen. Like we never, and I know in the house flipping area, finding the seller is the hardest part. Yeah. Right? In our side, finding a seller is the easiest part. Like our direct mail piece that we send out gets anywhere from 4 to 15% response rates. Dang. Like off the charts response rates. Wow. And even like the direct mail housing, the direct mail companies we use, they call us afterwards and they're like, are you sure that this is like, what are you guys doing? Because based on the statistics we're seeing on their tracking, you guys are getting a humongous response rate. And yes, we are. But then on the selling side, it's more like a B2C. So we're selling to individual customers, and that's also simple. It's just a different process. So most of the house flippers, they're so brainwashed into one way that our way is just slightly different. It's different. But those who start out and say like, yeah, we have lots of house flippers that have abandoned house flipping, just do land flipping. They do 100 deals a year and then make a ton of money. It's
like on the house flipping side, so much of our time and energy is to find a good deal. You find that seller that's willing to. For you, it's almost like your time and energy is how do you find that right owner finance buyer? Because that's kind of that's the gold for you, is finding that buyer.
Right. You're putting it out there, and you play with the terms, you play with the down payment, you play with the price, you build a buyer's list, and it's all the classic kind of things. But it's and then you sell those properties in anywhere between a couple of days and probably a couple of months. Sometimes it takes a little longer. But
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I am curious. Do you run into Dodd-Frank on the seller finance side for land, or does it not fall under?
We don't, because Dodd-Frank, to my knowledge and my attorney's knowledge, who I asked about that, is limited to dwellings. Okay. And dwellings is based on, I think, Regulation Z is 1 to 4 residential units. Well, on land, there's none of that, so we don't deal with Dodd-Frank. The only possibility that we might be dealing with Dodd-Frank would be if we go and have somebody that explicitly said he wants to build on it. In which case, while he's paying off the monthly payments, so in which case we have a document that we give him that says, while you make monthly payments, you cannot build on it. Okay. And that covers us. If he still does it, it's his responsibility. Right. But usually if they build it, we get cashed out anyway, because a lender comes in, the lender then cashes out our note out. Yeah.
How often are you selling these notes too that you're creating? Or do you keep
we never sell them. We love them.
You keep them. It's cash flow.
In 2007, when the market crashed, we had over $70,000 a month coming into our bank account from these notes, free and clear, pure, infinite return money. And we just went buying. We went on a shopping spree. We bought almost 50 rental houses in that time period, free and clear, that we still own, that now have gone up 4 times in value, and they bring in 6 figures in income. And the land is our cash machine that allows us to fund additional deals and additional assets that will spit out cash for the rest of our lives.
Crazy. What an interesting model. I love talking to you because, again, you're the only person I know that's really in this space, and you've been so successful at it. Now, having done so many deals over the last several years, let's talk about your best deal ever.
All right, so I have to think about that, because the best deal ever, because we focus on the $10,000 to $100,000 range, I don't have a $500,000 deal to report. Now, we teach this now. We have students that have bought properties for $115,000 and sold them for $400,000. But I think the best deal is a deal that we've done, that I bought a property, an acre, on a hill with views, like literally 50-mile views. Absolutely gorgeous property. We bought that for $1,850, and we sold it for $86,000 just 2 weeks later. That's my favorite deal that I talk about.
Holy cow. All right, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. How did you source this 1 acre deal for only $1,850?
Well, in our standard way, we use direct mail. We go to landowners that own property worth between $10,000 and $100,000 in certain areas, with a couple of criteria. We like people that live out of state, and also kind of like those typical things. We sent him our letter, our proven letter, and he responded. And the situation was such that he knew of the value of the property. The value, literally during the escrow process, during the closing process, had been reassessed from, I think, $10,000 to $60,000, and he knew that the property was $60,000. All he did, he folded the assessed value notice and then folded it up, sent it in an envelope, and said, "Next time I'm in town, you owe me dinner." So the thing is, he wasn't upset. Yeah. He was just wanting to get rid of the property. And the story is, often there's a psychological aspect to it. Yeah. Like, we bought properties from a divorced couple where she got the property, but he had brought it into the wedding. And so they were so disgruntled that she rather saw that property go to us for $300 than just to beep him off, right? Just to make him upset. So in this case, it was a different situation. This guy loved that property, but he lived in California. His property was in Arizona, and he drove from a few years prior, he drove to that property from California with his mom, and somewhere hundreds of miles away from the property, his mom got a heart attack. He rushed her to a hospital. She survived for like probably another half a year, and then she passed away. So in his mind, this property is now anchored in with the loss of his mom.
Wow.
Right? And because of that, he just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. He doesn't want to get the tax bill anymore. He doesn't want to even think about it. So he got our offer for $1,875, and he's just like, "Yeah, you can have it. I don't want it. Have fun with it."
Wow.
So we went out there. In this case, we actually did drive up there because it's in a beautiful town in northern Arizona called Prescott, Arizona, which is one of the top 50 retirement places in the country. It's beautiful, 5,000-6,000 feet elevation, cool and nice in winter, cool in summer, and it sits on this set of boulders right on top in this $1 million home area. And we took some pictures and so on, and it had one issue, and the issue is that on the bottom it had lacked road access, but on the top it had road access around kind of like a cliff, but you needed to clarify the easement. So there was a little bit something, because once that is cleared up, this property probably would be worth $300,000. So so we didn't go to the effort of clearing this up. Yeah. We didn't go to the effort. We'd never do. We just buy it. We figure out, okay, based on this, it's probably worth about $100,000 or so. And with the reassessment and so on, but because of the couple of issues that we had seen, we only offered him $1,800 and $1,875, and he accepted it, or $1,850, and he accepted it. And then we turned around and we just we put it out for sale. Now, back in those days, we actually did large land auctions. So we would buy 250 properties per quarter, and basically something like 80 properties a month. And we would go put one big larger land auction up a quarter, and we would do radio, television, newspaper advertising, online advertising. We'd fill up a big convention center with like a convention room, like 15,000, 20,000 square feet with 800 people, bidders, auctioneers, bid assistants, and things like that. And we would sell 250 properties in one day. And
Oh my
it's in that
gosh.
concept that the property sold. A bidding war started out, and one guy paid $86,000 for it.
Holy cow. I did not realize you guys did land auctions like that. Is that
Oh,
now
we did all kinds of stuff.
that's super creative. Now, is that because it was the downturn and people were looking for deals, or is that something you could still do in this market?
Oh, we can do it again right now. I'm actually having a phone call today with a local auction house where I'm going to give him like 10, 15 of our properties to just go sell them, because I'm monitoring them, and the time is ripe again to get these properties at very high prices. This one was one of our earlier deals, like 2006 or so. But there's also a deal that we have done just this year that we bought a property for a multifamily zoned smaller lot for like a fourplex. We bought it for $5,000 and sold it for $64,000 with a $6,500 down payment and $463 a month in payment. So that's going to make us $111,000 over the next 20 years, that property. But I wanted to show that other one because there's a little bit more meat to it and more drama in it and more issues with it.
So $1,850. Did you realize at the time how much it was worth and still only offered $1,850? I mean, is there ever a party that's like, crap, I'd pay $15,000 or $20,000 for this?
Yes, we did think it was worth a little lower. We probably thought it was worth perhaps 40 or so because of some of the access issues it had. But we knew that if somebody goes to the effort and fixes the access issues, you have a $200,000, $300,000 property at hand. Yeah. So we tread it carefully because we didn't know what we will get in the market. And that's always like when we always want that your profit is made when you buy, right? So we buy at 5 to 25 cents on the dollar. So we're like, let's be careful on this deal. Let's go to the bottom end of like literally like 5-6% of market value over $30,000-$40,000 value. And then once the reassessment came in, literally during escrow, your assessment came into 60. And in Arizona, the county assessed value is usually about 2/3 of market value.
Yep.
So we're like, okay, that means it really should be worth about 90 or perhaps even 100. So we got a great deal here. So
yeah. Well, and part of his motivation too, if the assessment went up, his taxes went up. So there's part of him like, I don't want to keep paying taxes on this damn thing.
His taxes went from $100 to probably more like $1,000 or something like that a year. So he didn't like that either. He wanted to get rid of that too.
He just wanted to be done. So when you sold this at land auction, I guess selling at the auction, you weren't doing any sort of owner financing. It was just a straight purchase?
In that case, it was a seller financing, but they put $17,000 down and then they made monthly payment. And the story gets even better. They made payments for about 2 years and then they stopped making payments.
Oh no. So
we then foreclosed on the property. And we actually took it back in, but we made about $25,000 net, and then we just resold it, and for a similar amount. And this guy has been paying ever since.
Oh, you're kidding!
So we really made more than that. We really made more like 100, and we already made like once it's all paid off, we'll be making about 130 on that deal. So
come on. Is that common on these owner finance deals for them to stop making payments and you have to foreclose?
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, under normal market conditions, if you ask for enough as a down payment, and enough on these deals, if it's a $20,000 deal, you don't have to ask for more than $2,000 down.
Okay.
So but as soon as you're like in the $1,000, $2,000 range, people don't let that money go away. They'll rather keep paying. So in a normal circumstances, you have about a 3 to 5% foreclosure rate.
Okay.
Which is not worse than banks, by the way.
No, it's about the same. Yeah.
And in the big meltdown in 2008, 9, 10, we had about a 15 to maximum 20% default rate. But what we did back then is we actually went and we offered loan modifications.
Oh wow!
Because I mean, you can do a loan mod, right? We're the lender.
Right. You do whatever you want.
We can do whatever we want as long as it's legal, right? So we went proactively to everyone that was late and said like, hey, listen, guys, is it that you don't want the property anymore? Or is it that you can't make the payment anymore? And most of them said, no, I love the property. They just put in like 5-10 grand as a down payment or so, paid for several years. They're like, no, it's just I lost my job. I can't make a $500 a month payment anymore. It's like, okay, how much can you afford? It was like, well, $250. He's like, okay, great. So we lowered the interest rate. We extended the loan. We perhaps even forgave some of the loan balance just because we were better off. Let's say if they still owe us $40,000, but the market value is now $25,000, we're better off giving them a $10,000 forgive $10,000 of the loan balance and then have them still pay us $30,000 off, then take that thing back and then sell it at 20 again.
Yeah.
Right? So we're better off that way. And that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, you're thinking like a bank. It's the same reason banks do short sales. They don't want to be in the house owning business. They,
Exactly.
they want to be in the lending business.
And the bank were in the world, and this entire world was right in front of us because banks were doing short sales all over the place. Everyone was losing money. We were still making money, and we're still flipping land. But we're like, well, we prefer collecting a little less over more time than losing the loan. So we just refied a lot of these loans and did loan modifications, and that way we kept them going and kept them going for years.
Brilliant, man. So this particular deal, bought it for $1,850. Sold it for $86,000, got $17,000 down, and for 2 years he made payments, ended up foreclosing, and then doing the same thing. Selling it for about the same amount, $86,000.
Yeah, payments were about $850 a month, so it's about $10,000 a year. So he paid an extra $20,000 in payments.
Yep.
Then he foreclosed it, and then we sold it again for a similar amount.
That's amazing. Do you still have that one? Is that one you're still collecting on?
We're still collecting on that one. Yes.
All these years later.
Yeah.
What a deal, man. That's crazy.
The only thing that I'm hoping on that deal is that the next guy defaults too, because I really want to keep that property and build a house on there.
Oh, now you want the property.
It's an hour and 20 minutes away from an hour and a half from where I live. It's in this beautiful little town. It's in this gorgeous lot with views all the way to northern, like to some other mountain range. So it's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm kind of like hoping, man, why did we sell it the second time? We should have just kept it. But that's
I wonder if did he fix the access issues? I wonder if he ever fixed it.
I don't know right now. He's just making the payments. We're not having any communication.
What did you learn through this process? Anything that's specific to this deal that, that caused you to do anything different in your business?
To that deal that caused us doing different? No. The only thing, once we started really seeing the power of seller financing, and once we had put ourselves out of a position that we didn't need to pay off a bunch of stuff, that we're basically debt-free, the house debt-free, the car's debt-free, credit cards paid, and student loans debt and paid, and things like that. We started shifting to doing more and more seller financing loans because they provide a beautiful 5 to 15 year stability that if something dramatic happens in your life, you can literally just take a year off and take care of loved ones and so on. Not that we had to, but because of that, we take off 3 months in the summer and go travel with the family because we know we have the cash flow coming in from all these different cash flow sources, including the land payments.
Well, and what's so amazing about the way you've structured your cash flow, which is different than like most rentals, is the fact that you're getting a down payment that typically covers your purchase price. And so all of that cash flow is an infinite return for you.
And not every deal is like that, but quite a few deals are like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm okay usually saying that I want to get my money back in a matter of 12 to 24 months. So if I have 100% return off my investment in 24 months, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. So if I pay $10,000 for a deal and they only give me $5,000 down, but do $500 a month, then in 10 months I have my money back. I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think most people would be okay with that. Still sounds pretty phenomenal if you ask me.
Yeah.
Jack, I love it, man. Every time we talk to you, I get inspired to get into the land flipping business and selling business. Thanks so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Thanks for listening to the Best Deal Ever show, brought to you by BiggerPockets. If you've been energized, entertained, or enlightened by today's show, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ken Corsini, or check us out online at redbarnhomes.com. And don't forget, one man's best deal ever may be the inspiration you need to create your next best deal. So, hope to see you on the next episode.